Hello, it's Melinda from Scrapbookingncraft. How you all going? So I'm coming on with our second Advent Calendar project. I apologise, these second, third and fourth projects are a bit late. December just got nuts. Family life, bit of sickness thrown in there, multiple trips to the doctor, etc, etc. Just, yeah, fun and games. Not work, fun and games. So I will endeavour to get the other two videos done as soon as possible. Hope everyone had a lovely Christmas and a happy new year. Can't believe we're in 2026 already. How did that happen? So this is the video for the second 7 days of the Advent calendar. So from day 8 to 14. So these are the goodies we got. Again, the napkins are set A and set B, so you might have received slightly different napkins. So I've got this one. This one's really Nordic. I love the reindeer in the little village. He's really cute. And I've got some little icons. These would be fun to cut out and collage. Love the snow globe. Some candy canes. I think everyone got candy canes. I can't remember. I packaged these up ages ago, and that's a cute little Santa one. I know there was a different Santa one as well. Then we've got an awesome rose stamp, foam stamp. We got another stencil, some diamond stencils. We got a light. Might use that one today. We'll see. We've got some more tags. So we've got the opposite tags that you got in the first week. So you can make some gift tags or things like that. We got some black cutout flowers, which are really cool and really nice and fine. And then we got another set of acetate, some postage stamp frames. So these are clear acetate frames with black and white grey. Can't wait to play with those. So we are going to incorporate some of the things from the first week as well. I'm going to use some of the papers and maybe one of the stencils. I've got a bit of an idea floating around in my head. I'm really liking this sort of action. Oops, back in frame. This sort of action of the trees. So the dark and the lightness of the trees. And I'm thinking we're going to do an art journal page like that, utilising the stencil from the first 7 days. And come up with something or other and utilising some of these pieces as well. Let me grab my other supplies and we will get started. Okay, let's get started on our background. I've grabbed this sheet of paper from our first week printed paper pack. That's sort of the background I want to emulate. I grabbed the tree stencils because we're going to use those. Let's get this bunch of stuff out of the way for a moment. Let's put that off to the side. The first thing I've done to my page is I've just given it a coat of gesso. I'm working in a Delusions style journal, or Delusions journal actually. So this one is my Delusions actual journal. So the pages are about A4 size. There's an A4 sheet of paper. So they're slightly smaller than an A4 sheet of paper, and it's a double spread we're going to be working on. I tend to do double spreads more than anything. I don't know, I just like things to be matchy-matchy across the page. So the first thing I want to do is trim off the white border from this page, just so when I tear it, I don't have the white bits on my torn bits. Not being real accurate, just being rough. So these are the pack of paper that was in week 1 was some jelly prints and, oh, I just noticed there's some butterflies on here. I didn't notice that before. Jelly prints and run-off sheets and stuff, that painted papery pages that I've created. So I thought that sort of went together. So what I'm thinking is I'm wanting this sort of background over the page. It's going to be like a snowy theme. I know we don't have snowy themes here in Australia, but I've got to grab my paintbrush. That's right. I've got one off to the side I can use. I tend to, I'll just use this one. Actually, I'm just going to pause and go grab my actual paintbrushes and be a good girl. Got the paintbrushes. I'm trying to be a good girl this year and not kill so many paintbrushes. So I have certain ones for gesso and certain ones for gel medium. See how long that lasts. Okay, so I just want to tear up a few bits. Sort of want them to have torn edges on all sides. The reason I like the torn edges is they tend to blend in a bit more than a straight edge when we go to bring in the paint. I'm just going to take a little bit off. I probably want, I don't know, about 5 strips of paper. And then what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to paint between the papers in the same sort of style. If that makes sense. That one's a bit big. Let's tear it down. So the paper in your kit is just printed on photocopy paper, so 80 GSM paper here in Australia. So it's nice and thin. That didn't rip as I wanted it to rip. Nice and thin so it can be layered up in your art journal, which is really cool. Yes, you could use cardstock and stuff, but I find that cardstock gets a bit thick in my art journal the more layers I put down. Hence why I like the photocopy paper or 80 GSM paper. And it's cheap to buy and cheap to print on. So I'm just going to have a play around with... So the idea is to have a bit of sky at the top, a row of trees in the middle, and something in the foreground. Haven't worked that out yet, but this is about how my art journal pages go. I have a bit of an idea. So this paper I like to stick down with... I can't even pick it up. Gel medium. So this one I'm using up at the moment, it's one from a cheaper shop, like I call them $2 shops, but they're not $2 shops. This one says heavy gel medium, but it's not. Ignore the word heavy because it's not. I particularly wouldn't use a matte medium, which is a really runny one I tend to use for napkins, because this paper needs a little bit more body to it. You could use Mod Podge, but the problem is Mod Podge is a bit sticky when it dries. There's lots of gel mediums available in the art industry. You've just got to find one. A soft gel medium is better than a more of a hard gel medium. So just putting a layer down where I'm going to put my paper, and then just going over the top with a layer. Oh, this one has a smell to it. I ran out of my good stuff, so this was the only one I could grab locally. So we are going to use it up. I'm going to put it over my spine. I tend to not really like to put things over my spine, but thin papers is okay. I do have, you might be able to see, I have some tape down the edge here, just to, the spine was coming out a bit. I tend to remove pages from my journals and then I get a bit of gappiness in my spine, so I just put some masking tape down. A, it gives you a nice join on your book, and B, it stops anything from gooping down into your book if you use sprays or paint seeping down. So this gel medium dries clear, so if you get it outside the edge of where your paper is, you won't see it. We're going to put paint on the top of where the paper isn't, so it'll cover it up anyway. We'll put some over here. So when I'm going over the top, I like a little bit of gel medium on my brush. These are small bits of paper, so it doesn't matter, but usually I go from the inside to the out, trying to get rid of any bubbles. And it's very hot here today, so this is going to dry incredibly quickly. Didn't grab my pot of water. So disorganised. So I'm going to grab a baby wipe. Good trick, if you don't have a pot of water near you, this is a good trick. If gel medium dries like cement, so you want to wash your brushes fairly quickly, or wrap them in a baby wipe. We might be gel medium some other stuff later. So I just want to give this a quick buzz with the heat tool. good hand on the trick. It's a bit wet over here, but that's all right. We'll just go with it. So now we're going to bring in some colours, some blues. So I've got any acrylic paint will work. I'm a bit low on my blues in my Dina Wakley and Delusions paints that I really, really like. So I'm being a good girl. Yeah, good girl in 2026 and using up some paints that I've got around. Basically, I choose my paints by colour. I don't really choose them by brand. I do have this bit of white that I'm going to try to use up with Dina Wakley. But I've got a light blue and a sort of a darker blue. So look at your papers and try to match. They could have been even the colours I used on the paper. I have no idea. So I'm going to start with a light blue. And I'm going to just put some blobs. Really? That lid is wanting to be stubborn for some particular reason. Come on. Ah, there we go. Just need a bit more grip. So when I'm painting like this, I just put it straight on my page. You can put it on a paint palette. Just need some little dobs. Now I am going to work quite quickly and not dry my paint in between because I want it to sort of all mix. So because my paper's going horizontally, I want sort of my brush strokes to go horizontally. Why? Because, I don't know, it might look a bit better. So I'm coming up and over the paper to sort of blend it in. Working quite quick in a feathery sort of way. I don't mind if there's bits of white here, there and everywhere. So sort of working on the edge of the papers to blend them in, plus coming out into the white space. So ideally when we're finished, our whole page will be covered with paint or paper. So now I'm going to go in with the darker bit, and I'm sort of going to, oh, don't like these tubes, they're really hard to take off. Probably want a little less with the darker blues. So let's just put 3 little blobs out. I can always bring some more back in. Because we're working with 2 blues, it will not make mud. I have started with what we call a dry brush, so it hasn't gone into water at all, and you are getting these sort of feathery effects, which is really cool. So I'm basically going to play until I'm happy with the amount of paint on my page. I'm sorry, my book's going to get a bit angled because that's the way I like to paint when I'm going this way. So I'm working quite quickly so the paint doesn't dry. It's very hot here. It's very hot here today. I apologise if you can hear the whirling of the air conditioner on the background. So I think I need a little bit more paint. See how that's sort of coming together? It's not taking long. I'm not really worried about it too much. I can see the bits of the paper and it's sort of blending in. Now I could stop there, but there's a little too much white showing. So I want to go back in with, what I might do is go back in with, I'm going to take the darker blue. That's the lighter blue I just picked up. Oops. Okay, we're going to go in with the lighter blue, and I might add a bit more dark if I want it. So I just put a little bit on my glass mat, just so I didn't get big blobs. I was going to say I'll start with the dark one and mix a bit of white in, make a different tone, but that's all right, we squeeze this one out. So any shades of blue will work for this. And I don't mind on the edges if there's a bit of white. We're going to do some stenciling over this. The middle is going to be covered with trees, so it's all going to come together. Actually, I might take a bit of white and mix. My white is nearly empty, so I have to take the cap off and then grab the paint. Oh, really? All thumbs today. Is it going to come out on my page? It's going to come out on my page. So I just want to sort of put some little bit of white back in and take a little bit of white from the cap, just grabbing it out of the cap. Just where I think it needs a bit of more, I don't know, texture. Calming down, I've probably got a bit too much white here at the moment, but liking the texture I'm getting at the moment. It's amazing when you think your paints are empty, you open them up or cut them open, and it's amazing how much paint is hiding in that little jar still. So my first thing with these Dina Wakelys is to pop the cap off and get a paintbrush down in there, and then eventually I will cut it in half, cut the container in half this way and get out all the paint. Okay, when you're happy, stop. And I think I'm just about at that stage. I've got white paint everywhere. Got a little bit of blue paint still out on my bench. Let's see if I can just use that up a bit. Sorry if I go a bit quiet, it just means I'm concentrating away. Just wanted to calm that white down a bit. I could sit here and play all day, but okay, let's stop. Let's clean up that bit of paint because I can see any minute I will get something stuck in there. Okay, so we're going to give that a bit of a dry. I'm going to quickly pause and wash my 2 paintbrushes, pop this aside, and we're going to come back and work on our trees. Okay, so we've got our book just drying off to the side. And we're going to work on our trees. So we've got our dotty tree stencil from the first week, got our tree mask and stencil set. So the first thing we're going to do is we're also going to grab some of our greeny paper that we got in the first week as well. Just going to see if I can do something about this light. I need to put some... Usually I have my book there and it doesn't... Is this going to work? Just got a piece of baking paper that I usually put behind my journals that will stop that ring of light because that's annoying me. I don't know whether it's annoying you. Okay, so we probably want about 5 trees, I think, and then we're going to do some stenciling in the background. So I want to take either the stencil or the mask, either which one of these ones, and we're going to draw around some trees and then we're going to decorate them. So I'm just going to put this one on a bit of an angle so it fits. And then with the pencil, so I'm drawing on the white side of the paper. If you want a Pacific, let me just finish drawing around this tree. I cannot talk and work at the same time today. The reason I like working on the back of the paper, it's a bit of a surprise of what I sort of get in the front, but also I don't have to worry about my pencil lines. Now, if you want a Pacific part of your paper, you can line this up and grab whatever part of your paper. But I'm just wanting some green trees. So I think I want 3 like this, and we might go 2 out of this stencil. So we want to grab... Is it going to fit there? Come on, you've got to fit there. Yes, you're going to fit there. I've made a couple of these trees before, so my paper's already a little smaller than it should be. So we've got one, missed a bit. Let's see if I can line it up and get it. That's right, they don't have to be perfect. I can cut them a little bit more perfect if I want to. Now that's got a stripe of paper and I really don't want that stripe of paper going diagonal off the tree. So I'm liking this part here. So I'm actually going to swap and do it with this stencil so I can see which bit I'm getting, and then I'm going to have to just deal with, actually if I do it down this bit, I should get that stripe. Let's see if I positioned it where I wanted it. I could go on the front, but then I've got to deal with my pencil lines and I really can't be bothered today. But feel free to draw on the front of your paper. I find if I draw in pencil lines over that dark green, I just can't see to cut it, so that's why I like doing it on the back. Okay, so we've got 3 of those. And we're going to cut those out. Then we're going to give them some decoration. Because there's nothing to say that trees in the forest can't be decorated. So you don't have to be too fussy when you're fussy cutting. I am trying to stay, sorry I'm off to the side, I am trying to stay on the lines, but well, there's a bit of artistic interpretation too. So as you can see, I cut my page down to just beyond the tree, so it's a lot easier to work with this bit of small paper than it is to have a big bit of paper and you're trying to manage around a big bit of paper. I'll show you that in a second. As you can tell, they don't take long to cut out. Okay, so then we've got one green tree. It didn't take long, did it? So, for example, this one, if I was to leave all of this piece of paper here and try to manage it and cut it, it's a lot more difficult. So I cut close to the tree as possible, and then I have a smaller piece to cut out. Trust me, this is the fiddliest bit of the page. I do enjoy fussy cutting, and some people don't. But they don't take that long at all. As I said, I'm not being extremely fussy. If my tree looks a little off, or I cut inside the lines or outside the pencil lines, am I worried? No, you won't see it in the whole scheme of things. You just want the general shape of a tree. And all trees are different anyway. There we go. Oh, I like how I got the stripe on that one. So I've got 2 trees, 3 trees, 2 trees, third one might take long to cut out. So I do recommend a good pair of fussy cutting scissors. Mine I do need to replace and find a new pair because my rubber has all disintegrated, so I've tried to wrap it with some duct tape. First the pink, and it's not really working, and it's irritating me every time I cut them, but I have not found another pair of scissors that I like. And there's nothing wrong with the scissors except for the rubber bits, and I've had these for donkeys, probably 10 years, maybe longer. I can't remember when I bought these. Could have bought these when I had the shop 18 years ago. Or was it after that? Oh, I can't remember. Donkeys years ago. Nearly finished our third tree. Decorating the trees is half the fun. Can be a bit time consuming, but if you don't like the way I decorate them, you can always find a quicker way. But I do like sitting here and fiddling and doing them. Okay, so we've got 3 green trees. Now, with the rest of our paper, you guys should have a little bit more paper left. As I said, I've made these trees a couple of times and used up a bit of my paper. Let's get our paint out of here for now. Now we're going to take this other stencil, and I've pulled out some green archival inks. I've got Ranger, Rustic Wilderness, and Becky someone? Is that Becky someone? Leaf Green. Cannot read that. They're both Ranger archival inks. So this one, I'm going to grab a blending brush. Let me just see if there's anything on this one. So these blending brushes are great for inks. I'm just rubbing it over a piece of paper towel or a wet baby wipe to see if any ink's coming off, because I may have used this with some other colour. I think a bit of red's coming off that one. Let's change, because red and green are probably not going to be a good combination. put a bit of black in it. That's right, I want these colours to be a bit darker anyway. Ideally I'd have one per ink pad, but I don't have that many yet. So I'm just going to run it around an ink pad. This is like a makeup brush. It's got lots of little fine hairs on it, which is great for stenciling because it gets in all the nooks and crannies. Now, the harder you press and the more you go over and over it, the darker it will be. I'm just going to flip my finger up. Ooh, I like the darkness of that. I am going to go over the star, but eventually I'm going to make the star gold or silver with a paint pen, but I want to know where the star is. So I'm just going to go over it with the ink in a minute. I like this little tree. He's cute. So if you missed out on the Advent calendars, all the products that were in the Advent calendar will be available on the website middle to late January individually. Just going to cut this one out. They were at a discount in the Advent calendar, so that's something to think about for next year. If I decide to do the Advent calendar again, I think I will. I had so much fun putting it all together, and everyone seemed to love what the contents was, and it is definitely a bargain to buy it as an Advent calendar. Here we go. So there we go. We've got that tree there, and we're going to make another one like that. We want to go slightly darker, trying to not keep small bits of paper. No. This year we're going to not keep really, really small bits of paper just in case. We are going to be good. Now, going from this green to this green archival ink, it won't really matter. I can give my brush a bit of a brush off. If I'm going from really light colours to dark colours, I will change brushes. I do wash these out occasionally, but the archival ink, once it's set on the bristles of the brush, it won't move. Just got to be careful if you use the Distress water reactive inks. They can react. Oh, this one's looking nice. So you could actually use this as a tree stencil like I am, or you could use this as all lights on the tree and do like a yellow on a lighter colour. Or you can mask some of the rows off and do some lights. This stencil has got a lot of possibilities. And hopefully by the time we've done this, our page is dry. Just going to put those off to the side in my pile. We will fussy cut this out. Oh, excuse me, I apologise. Woken up with a bit of a sniffle this morning. I was cleaning my daughter's bunny cage, and I think I got hay everywhere, including up my nose last night. So it makes me sneeze for about a day afterwards, I swear. Every time I do a deep clean of the cage, it's between the bunny hair and the bunny fur. So just going over the star, as I said, I'm going to make the stars like gold or silver or something later on. Okay, so we should have 5 trees. Let's do some decorating. Now I'm just going to grab a stencil, not that one, this book. So I've got all my stencils in these little display books, which is really cool. So I want to grab something with a circle. So this wasn't in your Advent kit, but I'm sure you've all got circly stencils at home somewhere. I'm going to do circle ones on here. So I'm going to grab a black pen as well. We'll grab the silver out because we'll probably need that later for the stars on top of our tree. If you see me reaching up here, I have got a couple of cubbies. I've got one with stencils, I've got one with all my pens and inks, and I've got one with all my mediums and things, gel mediums and gessos and things just above my reach. Now I'm going to lay this across and see what happens. So I'm going to trace around the circles when they're half on. Is that pen actually working? good if the pen actually worked. This pen, I think, is being a little bit of a pain in the bottom. Let's put that one back in here. I'll deal with it later. I'll grab a bit of a thicker one. This one should work a bit better. Oops, I moved the stencil. Bear with me 1 minute when I line it back up again. Just do this on a scrap bit of paper because I particularly don't know where my tree and my stencil are. I think half of my stencil is off my tree, but that's okay. So we're starting to get some baubles on our tree. Now once you've done one bit of it, you can then position your stencil and just add some more. Let's add some big ones. Let's go there. What is it with this pen as well? This pen doesn't like me fine. Maybe it just doesn't like going around the stencil. It all works until you come on camera. So just putting lots of circles on where I think I want them. So this one is going to be a bauble-y tree. When you're happy with the amount of baubles, stop, and then we are going to get, where did I put them? No, they're over this side. Some acrylic paint pens. So these have a fine tip and a brush tip on them. These are from Kmart here in Australia. Hopefully they still have them, so I want my red. So they have a brush tip or a fine tip. So all we're going to do, the cat won't stay on there, is, I'm sure my head's going to get in the way here, is we want to colour in our baubles. I don't mind that the bit of black is, okay, glasses off, let's get serious. I don't mind that the bit of black is outlining the baubles. That's the look we want to go for. Apologise, I am trying to keep my head out of view. It's hard to tell if my head's out of view. Well, I think it is enough. When I edit this, I might zoom this in for you. It's the advantage of filming a video is I can edit bits before I put it up. Lies, we can't edit things out. There we go. So your baubles are going to look something like that. And if they're not perfect, don't look too close at mine. Where'd the lid of the pen go? Right in front of me. Then I want to take the black pen and do a bit of an outline. But when I come to baubles that come off the edge, I'm sort of stopping and not going over the top of the bauble. So the line's going behind the bauble, if that makes sense. So I'm just coming in a tiny little bit, like tiny little bit from the edge. I think I missed a bauble. I think I have to go back and do some more red there. Whoops. I apologise if my head's in the way. I will show you what I'm doing in a minute, but I'm basically just outlining outlining the little tree. And I said I missed a bit of red. Where was that? No, I didn't. I thought I missed a bit of red. Nope. Then to make them stand out a bit more, we are going to grab a white paint pen, and I'm just going to grab a Posca paint pen. And we're going to put a bit of a highlight on one side of them. As I said, you can, if you don't want to draw and trace around and colour in your baubles, you can just put your stencil straight on top and like stencil some paint through it. You could colour red through the stencils as you go. So on the, what's that, the right hand side. So I'm just doing a flick mark, and I'll show you in a minute, and I apologise. So on the same side of the bauble, so always on the right hand side or the left hand side, doesn't matter which side, but stick to the one side, I'm putting a bit of a highlight on the baubles. Isn't that the cutest little tree? Okay, so that's that tree finished. As I said, you can get as fiddly as you want with your trees. We have got these couple. I want to do a stripy tree, so I'm going to reach for my, let's put my paint pen away. I'm done with the red paint pen at the moment. It could have been a red pencil, a red texture would work. The paint pens have a bit more opacity, so they work a bit better over the top of coloured papers, if that makes sense. Okay, now I want to do some stripes. Or do we want to do some diamonds and use that stencil that we got in our kit? I wonder if the diamonds are going to be too big. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. If I can get out the packet. They just sneak in the packet, these stencils. Okay. You sort of want stencils that are not too big in size, so they don't look proportionately out of. Actually, what I might do is do this as a reverse. So to do this as a reverse stencil, basically I'm just going to have the grid lines, and then the green bits are going to stay green. So all I want to do is trace around the diamonds. I apologise for my head. Oops. Remove the darn thing. I think we're back. Sort of deliberately not going over the trunk of the stem of the bush or the tree. Okay, I've got enough that I can see what I'm doing, maybe. So I've basically drawn through the stencil, and I'm going to grab the thickest paint pen I have, which will be one of these ones. Let's see if these ones will work. Okay, nice thick paint pen. And what we're going to do is we're going to colour inside the lines that we've made, but leave the diamonds. I'll show you in a minute. Just trying to get my paint pen to work a bit better. It's been a bit. I'm going to swap paint pens because that one's been a bit annoying. It's going to here. There's a new set, so hopefully these work really, really well. So you don't want a really thin paint pen because you want to make quite thick, broad marks. Oh, wow, look at that. So much better. So I'm basically colouring in the lines between the diamond shapes. I'll show you in a second. And if you're a little whoopsie and things are not really exact, that's okay. Hang on. That's quite a juicy paint pen. I've missed little bits. Let's go through and correct the little bits I've missed. I've missed a bit there. And I've missed that little bit there. And a little bit in there. And that little bit there. Now I'm just being picky. Just trying to cover up the lines of my first pencil. Give that a quick buzz. As it runs across the table. Okay. Just filling in the little bits that I missed. Oh, that should come down there. Oh, that got a bit hot. I could sit and fiddle all day, couldn't I? Just keep seeing bits that I've stood up. There we go. And what we're going to do, probably wouldn't go any bigger in pattern. What I'm going to do is just put a little bit, using the edge of the brush, it's just go around it so it will stand out a bit more from the background. So I've just got the brush paint pen on a side and just sort of putting a little bit of black on the edge. So the flatter you hold your paint pen against your paper, the more of black you're going to get, like I just did down there, which I didn't want to do. You're sort of just wanting a small line of black where there's no black. Usually I do this with a chisel tip marker, but I don't. My last one ran out of ink, so I'm using what I have. You could also ink it with a ink pad and a blending tool, but I tend to do it like this. Okay, now that black's standing out a bit too much, so we're going to grab that silver pen that I had before and tone the black down. So I probably wouldn't use any bigger paint, any bigger design, because it, any bigger holes, like any bigger design, because it takes away from that, because it's only a little shape. So now we're just going to put some silver in the middle. As I said, you can decorate your trees however you wish. I could sit here and fiddle all day with my paint pens and my trees and make them all sorts of different patterns. See how that's just calmed that black down now? So it's pushed the black into the background a bit more. Which is really cool. So ideally we're going to have something like, and we've got one tree left, stick my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing again. So ideally on our page we're going to have sort of an arrangement of trees across the centre of the page, and we're going to have, we've got one more tree here, what we might do is do some text. So the other thing you can do on your, is that one going to work, or do I want this one? I'm just reaching for a stamp. Do I want it to be nice and fine, or do I want it to be more chunky? That is the question. So you can basically decorate your, I think I'll go with this one. Go with Good Old Faithful, won't I? Good Old Faithful in the green. Good Old Faithful script stamp that I've used heaps and heaps of times. Going to use this same archival ink. Why archival inks? Because I like archival inks because sometimes I don't know what's coming next on my page, and then I know the ink is going to be waterproof. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an outline around this one as well with this pen. So you could have colour on all your trees, you can have colour on one. So we're going to have something like this, and then we're going to do some stenciling of trees in the background. I'm thinking this one's a bit bold, really, with the black, because I don't have black dark bits anywhere else on the trees. So let's come in and knock some more of that black back with our silver pen. I'm going to take a little bit more of the black off, just with some sketchy lines. Tone it down because it's a bit bold and standing out a bit too much for my liking. So not being, there you go, see how that toned the black down? It's not so black now. I was tempted to make another tree, and I thought, no, I'm gonna stick with it. I will fix it. Okay. Now let's put our stamp away, our stencil folder away, and get some of the stuff off our desk. We'll leave our pens out because we may need those again. Let's bring our page back in. By now it should be dry. If not, we'll give it a bit of a dry. So I'm just trying to move things out of the way so I can bring my art journal back in. Grab our trees. Now I'm finished painting, I can probably take these pages out. It's a bit of baking paper that prevents my art journal from gooping up the next pages. Okay, so now we do the good old hand test. If I get paint on my hands, I know it's not dry. But we've been fiddling enough with our trees, so I think it's going to be dry. Okay, so now we're going to have a play with placement. How did I have them? I sort of want them at different levels. Okay, something like that. So now we're going to add some more trees in the background. So we're going to grab this, and are we going to ink or we're going to paint? That is the question, because I want some more hints of trees in the background. Oh, these trees are running all over my page at the moment. Okay, so let's try ink. If ink is not dark enough, we will go with paint. So again, I'm going to take my So make sure this is really, really dry. It's a little sticky. I think it needs a little bit with the heat tool, because if I go to put ink on top of that, it's not going to like me. Okay, that seems a bit better. Just felt a bit sticky. Okay. So I want to sort of have a hint of trees in the background. So I'm only going to stencil probably the top half of the tree, because the bottom half is going to be covered by those foreground trees. They're darker in the back, aren't they? Yeah, trees are usually darker in the back. Okay, cool. Then I want to sort of do some a bit lighter. So I'm sort of having the darker trees at the back, the lighter trees sort of coming towards the front. So I'm moving my stencil, and I want them at different heights. So I want this tree a bit higher at the back. The more you go over the ink, the darker it will be. See how they're at different heights, and they're really dark at the back, and then our trees will sit. So we're trying to create depth in our, and we could easily do this with paint as well, but I find ink is a bit more forgiving just doing the top of the tree, because the bottom of the trees are going to be covered. If not, we will fade them in anyway. So we'll do a little one down here. If we cover some of these up with our paper trees, that's cool. That's what we're looking for. So we're trying to create a forest. Deliberately not doing them even, doing them off center, a bit closer to each other. Maybe we need another one in here. Maybe a bit lighter. Let's see how it looks. Ooh, that looks good. We're sort of clustering them up. So it looks like a forest. So just layer until you're happy. I think I want a hint of a tree in here. Just trying to fill up the gaps, really. Ooh, we've got a nice floating forest at the moment. Do I want one just here? Okay. Oh, I'm liking that. And we're probably not going to do anything else to those trees, because I want them to be sort of a background element. Let's bring these trees in. And these are going to sort of sit in the front of these trees, and sort of it's still a bit sticky there. Why is it sticky? I have no idea. Okay, so these I want at different heights. Maybe this one in the middle. I'm going to sort of have 3 on one page and do, still not sort of happy with this one, but let's just go with it. I like that they're all different textures and all different colours, and this really needs to go on the front, but maybe I'll swap these two around. We're going to stop procrastinating in a minute and stick it down. Yeah, I like that a bit better. So I'm going to push that one to the back. Really, we're going to get happier with our thing in a minute. Yeah, I sort of want to sort of something. Or do I ditch that tree and do something else? No, that tree's really bugging me. Oh. Now it's got black things on the back of it. Let's see if we can't fix it. Let's have a play on the back of it. So I'm using the same stencil that I used, the same diamond stencil, but we're going to see if we can make a different tree that I like a bit better. Nothing to say you make elements for your page and then you turn around and you go, oh, it doesn't really fit. The black is just, yeah, not being conducive to what I want. I think the stencil is a bit proportionally too big for the little tree, but we're going to go with it. And then we're going to get rid of them. Okay, I should have done a coat of this colour first, but that's all right. I'm going to sort of knock off the whiteness. Should have went in with the light colour first. Oh well, these two greens are compatible, so it won't matter. And I'm being very gentle because it is just photocopy paper. Oh, I do like that a lot better. What was I thinking when I did that other tree? And it has a little black on the edge, which is fine, and I think it blends in a whole lot better. Yes, happy with that. Happy I changed that. Now, let's have a look what other bits we could add to our page. Let's go to our paper napkins and see what we've got. We have this paper napkin. Looking for something in the foreground, and those colours would go with the green. Maybe we put him in the foreground. Or we use this one. But this one, no. Maybe the lady or the Santa walking. We could actually, let's use this napkin. Okay. What else have we got? We've got that, no, that, no. Okay, what I'm thinking is I want her down here somewhere. So I'm going to cut her out because I want sort of want to fussy cut her out. I'm debating whether to stick her on a white sheet of paper or be daring and glue her straight to the page. Because, so I'm just isolating one. So napkins come in 4 sections usually, or 99% of the napkins do that we sell on our site come in 4 quarters. So I'm just isolating one of the quarters out. Really like that border too. I might have to use that border around a page on something. Okay. So I'm thinking when I fussy cut these trees out, I might actually use these trees on the edge here and here. And so let me fussy cut the border. So if I'm fussy cutting napkins, I will leave the white backing on for now. It's a lot easier to cut if the white backing is on the napkin. Now I do have, you got 2 sets of each napkin, so I do have more of the Santa. I'm thinking I'm going to stick her directly on here, but if she gets a bit lost, I might have to do it the other way. So I'm sort of going to cut. I don't think she's going to get, okay, I don't think she's going to get too lost in the blue background because it's not that bright. Don't know, we'll soon find out. Napkins are translucent, so that's something you do have to keep in mind. But the blue is not too blue, if that makes sense. So, sorry, I'll come back and show you what I've cut. Okay. So I'm thinking I will stick her down here. I left a bit more dark blue here. So sometimes I will use the water cutting technique with napkins, sometimes I will use the fussy cutting with napkins. So I think she's going to go here. I think I'm going to utilise these. Just left a bit of Santa on there. I just want to get rid of that. Just fussy cutting these trees a little more. I think I'm going to utilise these on the sides of my trees to A, use the tiny bit of napkin up, because otherwise it will go in my stash and never be used, and B, will add a bit more depth to our trees. So ideally this one will go sort of here. I'm hoping it's not too small, but they are to be in the background. So because it's going on a blue background and the napkin's blue, I'm not being ultra fussy cutting them out. I do want to sort of fuzzy up the edge, and I should be water cutting this, but I'm just going to pinch a little bit with my fingers. Sort of want to fuzzy up the edge that's not going straight on my page. So this edge and this edge are going to line up with my page, and she's going to go there. He's going to go there. Is it Santa? Is it a he? Okay. So now we've got the white backing still on our napkins. So the best way to get the white backings off, whether you've cut it out or not, piece of sticky tape, washi tape, stick it on the white side, flip it over, hold the sticky side with one of your fingers, and then you should be able to easily pull this apart. Now some napkins have 2 or 3 layers, just depending on the napkin. As you work with napkins more, you'll sort of feel, actually I'm going to bring my tape down here, so it goes, everything falling off my little shelf above me. As you're working with napkins more, and my daughter sells napkins on our website, so we have a few designs to choose from. Seriously, too many at the moment. I'll have to try to cull some of her napkins. I'll tell her not to buy any more. But every time we go out, Mum, yes, darling daughter, we don't have this design. We have, I think we're here at nearly hitting 1,000. Some have sold out over the last few years, but that's what my code numbers are up to anyway. So just taking this off. My sticky tape back up there, out of the way. Okay, now let's stick the napkin down. So to stick napkin down, I don't like to use the gel medium, excuse the word heavy, I'll have to blank it out, the gel medium that we use for the paper. We're going to use that for our trees, but I like to use matte medium. I've got some of mine in a jar. Is it this one? So it's acrylic matte medium, and if you can hear it, it's quite liquidy. So the napkins are quite thin. I did have that sitting nicely somewhere until something fell in my conglomerate of stuff. So this matte medium that's really thin works well with napkins, collage papers, tissue papers, anything that's really, really thin. I like to decant it into a little Vegemite jar. Then I can just dip my paintbrush in and grab a little bit. So again, keep a dedicated paintbrush to your matte medium so that it is not gumming up all your brushes. So you just want to put a little bit, it's probably a bit too much. Let's see if I can paint some down here. So again, it dries clear, so you don't really have to worry about, oh, it's going to be darker than I thought it would. I wonder if it's going to lighten up when it dries. That's right. We can fix it. So a good layer of where you're going to stick your napkin. Once your napkin has hit the glue, don't try to move it because it will get quite fragile. I've got some up there. And then once you've got your napkin in place, start from the middle, especially with these bigger pieces, and go out. This will help seal the napkin into your page. So if we'll put a waterproof barrier on it, so if you have an oopsie or you decide to put paint over the top or ink, it won't soak into the napkin and it can be easily wiped off. You're not wanting to go over and over the napkin many, many times. You sort of want to go over it once or twice on the top and leave it at that. Because you can tear it. The napkins are gorgeous to work with, and they come in a huge range of styles, lots of Christmas ones, lots of normal ones, lots of textures, lots of shapes, patterns. Oh, that's right. You won't really see that. I goofed up and that napkin's a bit shriveled up, but that's all right. It's only a background piece. So the napkins, when they're wet, are super, super fragile, so you've got to bear that in mind. And you'll do what I did over there, but don't look closely over there. Please don't look closely over there. Get my lid back on my matte medium. Now we're going to glue our trees on. How did I have these positioned? I had this one over here. I had this one here, I think I had this one like here. I think I had this one over here. Do I want... And I sort of had him in. Again, I'm wanting them at different heights. I'm not wanting them at the same height. And then I need something over here, I think. Let me give that a little bit of a dry. Not sure whether you noticed, but when I do draw my pages, I do hold my page up. If you're drawing a page that's flat to the table or flat to other pages in your journal, the heat has to penetrate this page and all the other pages. If you hold it up, it dries quicker because the heat can penetrate to the back of the page as well. Now, it's still a bit wet, but I'm not going to put my hand in it and wreck it, which is really nice. And you almost can't see where the napkin starts and stops. I might do a little bit of paint pen on this little bit and this little bit just to hide it in a minute. Let's go back to our gel medium and stick our trees down. Now we've got to be wary of which ones are underneath. So I want that one. I think I like it like that. I think we're going to bring this one down a bit to fill a bit more of this gap. And then do... Now I have red and red there. Okay, let's swap these two over. And there we go. Now we've got some red on this page. Okay. So bearing in mind, I'm going to stick the ones down that have... And the background first. So we're going to stick this one down first. So the advantage of using the archival ink pads is this gel medium going over the archival ink pad and over the archival ink on my tree will not move. Now, if you've used a distress ink and that's all you've got, just be uber careful when you stick your pieces down that you're not disturbing the ink. If you're gentle, you should be able to get away with it. Don't have that one. Oh, I don't want the same height. Should have taken a quick photo, shouldn't I, of where my trees were going. That's right. Now, over here. So as you can see, I'm not using much gel medium. You don't need a lot. You don't really want to see big blobs of it. And because it dries clear, you won't see it if you go beyond where your trees are. Words today. Words are difficult. I put that down a bit, didn't I? Good idea when you get multiple pieces is snap a photo on your phone and then you know where you're putting them back. I think we're going to have to outline that tree a bit to make it stand out a bit more. Okay. I think we're done with our gel medium for now. I'll put my paintbrush in some water. So some of these trees I want to sort of fade into the background. I've got a bit of a gap here, but I don't like sticking things in the middle of my journal if need be. And I think when this is dry, I might extend this now. So I'll give this a bit of a dry. Okay, that should be dry enough for now. Okay. That's sort of still a little wet. We might wait on that for a minute. I just want to take a bit of a acrylic marker and just fade in a bit of these edges, which are bugging me at the moment. Now, that's the other thing I want to do. Is that dry? Yes. Okay. I'm going to grab a white paint pen and a bluish paint pen, and I just want to do a little bit of work. I think it sounds like a good idea in my head. Let's see what it actually turns out to be. I just want to define, I think. My head's a dangerous place to be. That's not the right colour blue. Let's go a shade darker. Shade darker would be this one. I don't want to go too dark. These are really nice brush acrylic pens from Kmart. Maybe I need a bit darker. I need it slightly a bit darker. If I don't like it, I can very quickly take it off with, because this is acrylic paint pen going over acrylic paint, I can take it off. What I'm trying to do is sort of define the horizon a bit more, but not make it too dark. Let's go over with this one. I had the wrong end. Maybe that's a bit of a lake. I don't know. Maybe it needs a bit of... So I'm sort of scribbling on and then sort of smudging with my finger. Again, if you don't have paint pens, you can do this with paint. Small amount of paint. So now what I'm going to do is this half tree here, I sort of want to line my stencil up again with this first tree here and sort of give it the illusion that it's coming down further. But I don't want it to be too dark. See how that's just given that illusion to the tree? And there's one here that I wanted to sort of bring down. I didn't know how far to bring them down because I didn't know exactly where my trees were going. But this will just putting a bit more green in will give it the illusion that the tree is coming towards the ground level. Oops. Oh, that's just filled that space up nicely. Awesome. So at this stage, you could add more trees. I'll just add something up here. I can't stop. I'm terrible. I'll just a little bit more. That's a bit better. What we're going to do is we are going to, are they dry yet? We have got a big mess to clean up after this video. Wondering what we do around the border. And down here I'm going to put a saying, I think. And I want to bring these trees out a bit more. So let's grab a Stabilo oil pencil and see what we can do with that. So Stabilo oil pencil, if you've never heard of it before, I might use the blue one instead of the black one. Usually use the black one. Do I have a blue one? Yes. So Stabilo oil pencil is basically writes on all surfaces, writes on glass, writes on plastic, metal, all sorts of things like that, and it's water reactive. So if I grab a small-ish, this one should work, small-ish paintbrush, and I'm just wanting to, so you draw like a normal pencil, and then if you take a bit of water, you can sort of add, I just wiped it all away, didn't I? Let's just go around it with a pencil. I do apologise. I hit my mouse and hit pause video and did not realise. So it's just talking about Stabilo oil pencil. So it's water reactive. So I've just drawn around these two trees, and I'm just going to do this one here as well. So you just draw like a normal pencil. The harder you press, the more sort of water reactive, I suppose, graphite powdery stuff you put in there. Not powder, but it sticks. I don't know. Water reactiveness. So the harder you press and the more pencil, the bigger the mess of colour. Not mess of colour. I don't know. I'm all thrown now. My computer decided to do a hissy fit for a second. So if you have too much, you can sort of blot it. This is just a bit of tissue paper I'm blotting with. That bit works. A bit of paper towel or baby wipe. So if you do put too much down, you can take it away. It works better over paint if you want to take it away, or matte medium or something. Raw paper, if you draw on it, it's a bit harder to take it away. So if it is wet, you can draw back into it. So you don't have to water reactivate it. You can just leave it as a sketchy pencil, depending on what look. Basically what I'm wanting to do is sort of bring these trees out from the background a little, but just be subtle about it. Don't think there's anything subtle about me, actually. So you have that, and that tree's now sort of, there's a bit of dimension between the trees, a bit of definition. They're not just flat on a paper. So anytime I sort of stick a die cut on a page, or stick something, I tend to outline it with a Stabilo oil pencil. I'm not going to outline this tree with the red dots because it's already got that little bit of an outline around it, and this one's got an outline around it too. So I only did the two dotty trees and this one. What I might do is just do a little bit of shadowing on the edge of that tree to make them pop out from each other. So you don't necessarily have to go around everything. You can just add a bit of shadowing to bring elements out from each other. That makes sense. See how it's looking better on camera than it is in real person. Sometimes it does that. And then we can also take a bit of our Stabilo oil pencil. And these trees are a bit floating, so I'm just going to give them a bit of grounding. I could do this with a paint pen, or I could do it with the Stabilo oil pencil. Bear in mind, the Stabilo oil pencil is usually something you do last on your page because it's water reactive, and it will stay water reactive the entire time. So you do want to bear that in mind. So I'm just sort of putting a bit of shadowy ground under the trees so they don't look like they're floating. Again, if I don't like it, I can... Actually, you know how I said I wasn't going to put some around this one? I just want to pop out in the background a bit more. think I'm going to stop. Knowing when to stop is hard. I'm just wanting like an illusion that the trees are sitting on something. They're not just floating. Now, I'm thinking about my border. Do I need something on the border? Do I not? Oh, what I was going to do is take that lighter colour paint pen. So sometimes these tiny little touches just make your page go from wow to wow. Wowzers. So what I'm going to do is I can see this hard line here with the napkin. You might not be able to see it, but this sort of hard line here, because I didn't fussy cut as much as I should have. So all I'm going to do is try to match the colour. That's too light, I think, next colour. So I'm just putting a bit of paint pen on the bit of the napkin and where my background is, and trying to, without going over the napkin too much, trying to fade that line in so it's sort of not so prominent. There's a bit down here that's... So again, you could do this with paint, but the paint pen sort of put a small amount of paint out, and it's a bit easier to control. So don't hesitate to come up and over your napkin, and sort of, if you haven't fussy cut it properly, you can then pick a combining colour. Is that the word? No. Yeah, combining colour. Coordinating colour. That's the word I'm looking for. Hey, stove. Q. No, that's C, isn't it? Oh, tired today. So again, I want a little bit of a shadow around her. I don't know. I don't like things floating on my page. That's a me thing. You do you. I do me. So again, I don't want a harsh shadow, but I want a bit of a grounding around her. Maybe around these trees as well. So I'm just putting a little bit of paint pen and then just smudging with my finger. So I just want it around her feet mainly, so she's standing on ground. See how that just makes her a bit more grounded, and this grounds a bit more. I could have done that with paint pen too, but I had the Stabilo All pencil in my hand. I wonder if that napkin had critters on it. Let me have a look. I think we need some sort of critters in my forest, but I'm thinking this one, but it doesn't really have the right imagery. I wonder if I have any little... It needs a couple of woodlandy creatures, I think. Don't think Art by Marlene will have anything. I'm thinking no. Let's look at our quote that come in our kit of our Advent Calendar. Let's see what we can put down there. Oh, leave a little sparkle wherever you go. Sounds good. One thing I know that is I know nothing, maybe not. Nothing is impossible. Do all things with love. Choose to see the good. Give out what you most want to come back. I think leave a little sparkle wherever you go. So this is the acetate sheet that come in the first week of the Advent Calendar. So I'm just going to trim up that bit. I'm hoping I've left enough room. Sometimes when I design these, I go, yeah, that's enough room. I come to use them and go, uh-oh, that's a bit tight. But hopefully I've left enough room to cut between them. So I'm just going to keep all my bits in my packet, because I know those pieces, now that they're smaller, are going to go everywhere. Eventually I'll get a A4 binder book for all my acetate bits and keep them all together one day. This one possibly could do with a little bit more room between the words. It's hard when you have letters that go up and down and like L's and G's that have loops up and loops down. But that's right. Just sort of cutting it down, trimming it down in one piece, and then I'm going to split it into two, I believe. Leave a little sparkle wherever you go. So leave a little sparkle. And you want to sort of cut them where they naturally pause when you're sticking them on. Now I love the look of acetate because it looks like they're sort of, obviously you can see the shine of it, but it looks like they've been put on with like a rub-on or something if you don't catch the shine, which looks really nice. I think I'm going to glue those on, stop procrastinating. So we could use a all-purpose art glue or a gel medium to stick them on. I find that all-purpose art glue dries clear, so I'm just going to put a little bit behind the black words. And yes, you're going to see it at the moment, but when it dries, it'll dry clear. You got your nose right next to the page, you might see it, but who's going to do that? You're not going to do that to my journal because you'll see all the mistakes. Okay, now I'm thinking border. Does it need anything? Is the page finished? That is the question. And if I was live, I could ask you and you could give me some suggestions. I think I'm liking the border, sort of the bits of white showing through, so it's almost a border in itself, and I think if I put anything on it, it'll be too much. And knowing when to stop with art journaling is a learnt lesson, a learnt skill. Oh, just one more. I was thinking doing some diamonds around and like you're inside looking outside like a window. But I think I like it like this. And I think I like these little additions from the napkin. It sort of gives it more depth. It's got a lot of depth, this page. So we've got this Santa in the foreground. We've sort of got these trees in the middle ground. We've got a bit of background happening. And we've got the sky. And we've sort of got a bit of a horizon here. This could be a frozen lake. These are a bit grounded, which is nice. So I think we are going to leave it there. So thank you for watching week 2 of our Advent Calendar. Can't wait to see what I make in week 3 and week 4, which should be out in the next week. I know, a little behind. We will get there. Oh, I forgot. We were going to put silver stars in our trees. Sorry, going to make you sick. Going to move my book around. I forgot one thing. We were going to turn these into silver stars. This is why I inked them, so I had a star to follow for me to draw out a star that isn't on there already. Or if I just made them. Oh no, you can see them when you dry that, you'll be able to see it. Yes, you can see the shininess of the silver. You could add more silver elements if you want to. You could add a few more here, like twinkling lights. It was the vision I had in my head. I had these big trees and sort of a bit more of a depthy, foresty thing, and love little Santa that's walking along in the foreground. That's just really, really cute. Thank you very much for watching, and I can't wait to see your projects if you decide to make one. Even if you didn't buy the Advent Calendar and you want to have a go, dive deep in your stash and find whatever you have and follow along. Love seeing how you girls interpret my pages. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.